It's League Night. Welcome, everybody. This is April 19th edition. I am joined by Jamie in studio. Welcome back, Jamie.
Hey, thanks.
And we've got Josh also. Josh, welcome. Are you excited? I'm stuttering. Are you excited?
Yes, absolutely. I'm very excited.
That's how excited I am as well. I'm glad we're all here. We're going to be talking about the first major, the Champions Cup. Josh, let's get right into it. Tell us what you think.
All right, I've been waiting for Champions Cup. Look, originally announced in January of 2021, right? So the disc golf world began their 15-month countdown to this newly announced major, the Champions Cup. A little bit of drama, but ultimately excitement, bringing together, look, the true best of the best, hence the name champions. So not just anybody's getting into this event. Those who have earned the right to play for an actual Champions Cup would be coming together to face off against each other and, of course, against the course. The well-liked W.R. Jackson course in Appling, Georgia, it would offer the challenge we all expect from a major event. Remember the history in the last couple of years. We've only had 3 total major events in the last 2 years, 3 total. And here we are heading into a year with 4 planned majors, right? It seems like a windfall, not only for the fans, but also the players. A spring major early in the season to really set the mark. So many storylines, right? Who will be the first to win? This is a brand new major. Who's going to be the first Champions Cup winner? No order. How about, will someone break into the ranks of a multiple major winner for the first time, or will the rich become richer right at the top and continue to build their majors? Look, I, for one, among many on this show, those of you watching, we were ready to see how it all went down. I couldn't wait for all 4 rounds. And we're going to take a little look at how it went down here together. I think we're going to start with digging into FPO.
That's right, Jamie. Give it to us. What happened in FPO?
An instant classic over in FPO. Here on hole 4, Kristen Tatar gets us started. She came into the day tied with Paige Pierce to give up the lead after the first hole, but check it. Just a park job there on 4 to tie back. Sarah Hokum in a battle with Owen Scoggins on this lead card. She's going to sneak one here on the right side. Great putting duel between Scoggins and Hokum. Then Tatar on 7. She fillets this double gap through the first set. Through the second set, nestles it beautifully on that hillside to take her first lead of the day.
I can't do that.
No doubt. Look at Owen Scoggins. Nearly in off the tree. Owen led the field in circle 1
she loves
and
the
circle
woods.
2 putting. She loves it. She loves the putter, too. Speaking of putters, Paige Pierce has not hit a birdie from circle 2 since hole 4 of round 3. That gets her back 9 started. Love from Kristen there. No love on this one, though, because 2 holes later, Paige Pierce at it again. Another circle 2 hit for birdie. Tie game.
She was stepping up.
Stepping up. Kristen, a little step on the forehand. That's a techie line to collect the scramble. And Paige on 16. She doubled the previous hole. She's back 2. Kristen out of position, and Paige moves to within 1. What a nervy putt by the 5-time world champion right there. And then on 17, this is crucial here. This was what would have been for par. Nestles it up, the bogey. Kristen also bogeys. They're staying 1 apart on the final hole, and Paige, as much as she has experience, you know she's feeling these nerves. She said it on camera before. She has to step up, and this is not an easy finishing stretch on this W.R. Jackson course.
Ooh, the block.
How many times do you see that happen from Paige Pierce?
That was impressive.
It has to be perfect, and it is. This is everything she has to do to put pressure on Kristen Tatar because it looks so good, and this is Kristen for the win. Sails it high and the devastating roll.
She made the right choice, though. She made the right choice.
She goes confidently over to it now to push for a playoff, and everybody's holding their breath. And she knew out of her hand. She just pushed it right. Paige Pierce comes home, ties Valerie Jenkins, most majors all time.
This is awesome to have another major in my career, but even more so just the last few events, just realizing like I'm living the dream. I really am.
And this was a stacked field this weekend, and you put yourself in a hole early on in round number 1, and then talk about that tenacity and what you did to fight yourself back to be in position to win this on the final hole.
Yeah, you know, I think my discs say it all. Fierce and passion, like those are the two things that I am on the course. And, you know, it's funny that you guys as the media and all the spectators out there think I'm in a hole when I'm 4 strokes back. Like, there's a 4-round tournament. I'm going to make that up in 1 hole. So, you know, never count Paige out, never count anyone out. Like, we're playing disc golf. You hit a tree, scramble, get back in the circle, get a par. So, you know, don't forget about me. I'm here, and I'm staying for a while.
Yeah, I didn't forget Paige.
Woo. Do not forget about me. I am here. I
Bringing
love
spice.
that. All right, so we're moving over to MPO. Wow. Coming out of the FPO, and Jamie, in our group messages this week, you said it kind of took a little bit of the wind out of the sails for MPO. Maybe the expectations were a little different here, but Ricky starts out pretty hot here. All right, he's won every major in the state of Georgia that he's played in, 2 for 2. Now listen, he drives, Calvin's on the card, Chris Dickerson's on the card. We've got a battle shaping up here. Starting out on hole 1, look at the focus. Chris Dickerson lacing drives in the woods, as you would hopefully expect he would. Incredible performance coming our way.
This hole's so hard. This hole is so hard.
And Jamie, you've played this course, haven't you?
I have. Don't ask me my score. Didn't do that. That's for sure.
That's right. All right, so you're gonna have to catch me up. Where are we at here? What hole are we on?
Hole 8, and the Udis guy loves it. Wysocki then looking for the birdie after shorting the upshot. Deep in circle 2 here.
Hey, remember that putt later too, because he's got a different putt.
Chris Dickerson, 6 down through 11 holes, and that's significant here at WR Jackson. This is the Champions Cup. This is a major. 6 down through 11 is significant. Ricky is struggling here.
Hey, we're going to talk about this player later too. Looking forward to it.
Gavin Babcock. He does a split, collects the birdie. Tip of the cap for battling the nerves against high pressure card, Gavin. Keep up the good work. Heimberg, circle 2 birdie on 13. We're catching up to Chris Dickerson here. Second shot on hole 15. Annie flex. This is pretty much where he took over. We saw it just building in him, and he's like, I'm not looking back. I'm going to put the pressure on Ricky. And we're going to see here Ricky step up to his drive on 16 here in just a minute. He's 1 back from Dickerson. He's trying to make the charge. But I think there's just too much of defeat, and you don't see that often in Ricky. But Chris really had that pressure going. Here's Dickerson's drive on 17.
I mean, he just started birdieing on hole 14 and didn't stop. Only 3 players played this stretch better all day.
Yeah, well, this is when you show what you're made of. You're seeing each of these shots that Chris is throwing, because I don't know, Matt, what you're saying. I mean, I think having Ricky has to be some pressure unless you've got ice in your veins. And I think this is what Chris is saying. Let me take down my second major. I'm going to birdie out. Birdieing 5 holes straight, you don't even give a chance. And I like that shows something about what Chris is made of here.
This shot that we just saw from Chris Dickerson was the shot of the event, according to the Disc Golf Network, because it meant that he was able to pretty much seal the deal here after this upshot. Killer upshots in the back 9 par 4s for Chris Dickerson.
So good.
Here's Chris Dickerson tapping out, pretty much tapping out. He putt first, which is kind of fun there. He wins the event putting first. Everyone else still had to tap out.
Sometimes you've talked about overcoming a little pressure and anxiety when you're out here playing. This is as pressure-packed as any event can be. It's the first major of the year. How did you overcome that?
You know, surprisingly, I only got a little bit of nerves on the last 2 to 3 holes. So I just kept telling myself, you know, 1 shot at a time, just worry about your shot and not anything else. You can't control what anybody else does, so just worry about what you're doing. Do the best you can.
Just worry about what you're doing and do the best you can. We're going to take that and we're going to move it into our next segment. What does this mean? So Paige takes it down, dramatic fashion. Chris Dickerson takes it down with a solid performance. What does this mean? Let's go ahead and put it up. What does this mean for Paige Pierce? What do you guys think?
Well, I'm like you're saying, the Val Jenkins held the most majors in FPO title for a very long time. I mean, she hasn't meaningfully competed since the 2016 season. That was the inaugural year of the Pro Tour. It seems like a lifetime ago. And so, tip of the cap first to Val, because that record held for a while. But here's Paige Pierce. We heard in her interview, she's aware of people calling her wash, saying she's in a hole. She can get it back in one hole, she says. And things like this prove it. I mean, it's a heartbreaker for Tatar, Josh. I think that has to be said. But you can't take anything away from the way Paige Pierce battled, because she could have given up. She could have just gone for broke. She stayed within her game and she came out with the win.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's exciting about a spring major also, right? This is a chance for somebody to firmly say, here I am early in the year. Don't let all this kind of nonsense talk string out of how good of a year am I going to have. Paige has already now cemented a major on her resume in 2022. And clearly a strong resume to start, but showing that she's not done. You can clearly see for Paige too, just kind of the growth and evolution of her life, her perspective on winning. She shares about that in the interview. Her, caring for the growth of the sport and her other kind of FPO competitors. Yeah, I mean, my heart broke for Kristen. You don't want to see it go down that way. I don't feel like it was a choke with saying that. I think there were nerves involved, but that's what the sport is. That's not the same as saying a choke. Missing those putts. Granted, she was making putts like that. I mean, she was putting impressive.
I said she made the right choice. Kristen made the right choice. Now, some could argue that, but it's always hindsight. She had the ability to win it, and I think she needed to take that opportunity, especially with her skill level. That being said, what does this mean? I feel like I would have said, had Kristen won, I would have said, I think there's a really strong argument to be made that Kristen is number one in the world. Now, with this, I know the competition shaped up the way it did, meaning it was still a battle and it was not a clear, defined win. A win is a win. And I feel like in this situation, Paige now gets the nod, the tip to say, Paige, it was getting argued early on that maybe you weren't. Maybe it was Katrina. Then it was saying maybe Kristen. If Kristen had won, I think that. But in this situation here, I think what it means for Pierce is that she's reestablished herself as the number one FPO
right.
competitor.
In fact, it allows her to make the case, Matt, that she didn't even have to reestablish herself. She was already established and we were all wrong. And I think that's a big deal, right? To say, like, I never actually lost it. I don't know what you all were talking about. So,
That's right.
So I think it's exciting.
That's a great point.
I think it means a lot.
Let me give you some numbers on that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Over. Top 3 in Disc Golf Pro Tour points, right? Pierce, Tatar, Allen, separated by 16 total points right now. We've been talking about big 3, 1050 boys. That was kind of the evolution of MPO and talking about this upper echelon of people that have pushed. Now, back in that time, it was really Paige Pierce having incredible seasons and just going yard on everybody. But now we have this nucleus of this next level. These ladies are saying, this is what disc golf for FPO is going to be in 2022. That's my biggest takeaway from what does this mean? Like, this is the new level. Play at it or get left behind.
Oh, baby. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that last week with Christine. All right, let's move into our next what does this mean? We're talking for Dickerson, and we're going to bring in Calvin, Ricky, and Paul. I mean, there's a whole story here that's to be told. Yeah, Chris is first. Chris is up there. He's the main guy. What does this mean for all of them? Chris Dickerson included. Jamie, take it.
Go ahead.
All right. Josh was so ready, but I'm going to just, I wasn't here last week. I'm going to jump in real quick. No, this is great for Dickerson. This is vindication, because I think for Dickerson specifically, the knock on him was always, okay, what did you do early in your career? You won 2 Pro Tour championships before anybody really cared. Don't fire me. Before anybody really cared about the Tour championship, he was the first to 2. Okay, that's cool. Great job. Can you win on tour? He would struggle to get the win in the column. Then he gets the 1 major at USDGC, and you say, okay, people have their things they're going to say about USDGC. At this point now, when he is only the 5th player in MPO in the last decade to win multiple majors, now he is officially over that line, and you have to put some respect on his name, in my opinion.
Who's this is maybe not where the conversation was intended to go, but who's playing better right now out of this whole list of names that we have up here? Who is the better player right now? Can you go with anyone other than Chris?
Well,
Josh, give us your take.
Yeah, so here's the problem. You can debate that from a bunch of different angles, but as the saying often goes, is just look at the scoreboard. And winning the big events, right? We kind of tier them that way. We say majors, then elite series, right? And maybe some more than others. And then you move down kind of the tour ranks in the different sanctioning levels. And Chris, winning a second major is a big deal. Winning one major is life-changing. Second proves that it wasn't just a good event for you. Like, and that is in the history books of the PDGA and Wikipedia and the internet and Google, right? So point is you can never take that away, and it's a big deal. And so I think even though Chris may not jump up and down cheering with two arms in the air, I think he knows. I think, and I will say personally for me, to follow on the comments I was just saying, it changes my outlook on Chris. And so sure. I think that's the point, is not everybody's going to, some people already thought he was the best, good for them. Some people think he will be the best in the future, and good for them. But like, my perspective was a little bit more uncertain, but it kind of changes the tide. And so now going into any event, he was amazing before, but now he just kind of has that resume. And I talked about ice in the veins. You have Ricky Wysocki chasing you down. Similar to what Paige said, only one stroke lead on that course. It literally takes one errant throw by 6 inches to lose. And Chris goes out and birdies the last 5. And I think that tells you a lot about both obviously the physical talent, but the mindset. And I have always said, go watch anything I've done in media, right? The mental game and the experience is what starts to set apart the best from the best. And I think Chris is starting to do that. So we'll see if that continues to play out, but no matter what, he'll always be a 2-time major winner, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Matt, let me set you up on this, actually.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Because by the way, Chris said, oh, that's when the nerves came in, when he started just slaying those fairways. He wasn't nervous until that. So Chris, get nervous more often, man. To that point, and this is totally unfair, I'll fall on the same sword here. If you put Dickerson, Heimberg, Wysocki back on the tee of hole 1, I'm telling you that I think Heimberg or Wysocki is probably going to come out like those two over Dickerson 6, 7, 8 times out of 10. That's not totally fair now in hindsight. Matt, be honest, did you feel that way at the beginning of this round? Was Chris just slightly less of a favorite than the other two?
In my mind, and I'm going to give you my honest take, he's always slightly less of a favorite. I did not see him the way that I currently see him. I think that he is proven with these performances this year, including the Champions Cup, that this is something that he can do regularly. It's not a fluke. It's something he's established. And in fact, in an interview yesterday, when asked the question, do you think that you are the best player in the world? He said, I think any player in my shoes is going to answer yes. So from his perspective, that's how he's feeling. But he says anybody that's in his situation probably would feel the same way. It was kind of a political answer, right? It was a humble way of saying I am. But that is a spectacular thing, because I don't know that any of us would have put him there prior to this major.
Yeah. And to kind of finish up kind of our sub headline there about those other names, Matt, those other names would probably also say anybody in my shoes would say yes, right? Ricky's going to say that. Paul's going to say that. Calvin's an interesting case. I think we know that he hasn't pulled off any big wins yet, but his talent, the ceiling seems just as high as the others. He's just yet to prove it. And so I think this meant a lot to them. I think Heimberg says another missed opportunity. I mean, he has been there, right? Ricky has the resume. So this is not right a knock on him not winning this. It's just he would love to pile on a bunch more. But who knows? Maybe Chris will start piling on more than Ricky, and things change. That's what's exciting. Scoreboard.
That is what's exciting. Let's move into our fan favorite, everybody. We're going to 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and put the topics up, and we're going to get right into it with topic number 1. Did the Champions Cup deliver? You can see the title up there, Major Delivery. Did it deliver? Is it what you hoped? Is it what you expected? Jamie, go ahead and take it.
I am so happy with the PDGA right now. I can't even tell you. Back when this came out and it was that funky format and we were going to play it, at the springtime, all this stuff, there were just so many questions around this event. I think the loudest that the crowd was shouting was why? And, all credit to the PDGA, because they came together, they put on the right kind of event. Like, they didn't have to reinvent the wheel. They just had to let a beautiful course on a great property, when literally the post-round interviews are in the Hedrick Museum with all these artifacts of the early game. Everything was there. They just had to have the stage and let the best come and play. And the fact that they recognized that and shifted course, oh my God, it delivered. It delivered in such a big way. We haven't even barely talked about Katrina Allen or Paul Macbeth like going course recordy in the final round because we have so much to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here's the thing. I am actually usually in the side of saying the PDGA does have a tough job. Now, some people are going to balk at that and laugh. I think they have a tough job.
Very tough.
At the same time, there is something to be said for, don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. And I think here, Jamie, I'm not going to disagree. And so this is not going to be a debate in any form or fashion. Yes, it delivered. Look, maybe if you expect perfection, I'm sure you can find something to pick about. Maybe your favorite player didn't perform well, and therefore you aren't happy with the event. Some silly thing like that. There are some things to critique. I think it was a difficult, place for spectators. Not having many live, only VIP tickets kind of detracts from some of that upper feel that you could really have at a major. But honestly, I think, given more time, some of that can be figured out. We'll probably talk about that in a little bit. But in the end, great competition, drama down the stretch in both sides, and we crowned a major. That's what it's all about.
It delivered, in my opinion, as well. We're all in agreement there. Moving into topic 2, you're going to pick your player. Is it Own Scoggins or Sarah Hokum? They both performed in significant fashion on the last day and all the tournament, really. But you got to pick your player. Who are you choosing going forward based off of this year and the story at the major championship? Josh, what do you think?
All right, so it's an interesting one, obviously. Clearly, from a career history standpoint, Sarah gets the nod because I look at the history and I say she's got it. But I'm going to look a little bit more short term. Each of them have only played 4 Elite Series events and majors this year. Here's how they finished in order. You ready? Scoggins, 18, and then 4, 5, 4. And Hokum, listen, 21, 16, 12, 3. What I find curious, right, is Sarah Hokum has literally placed better in each event as the season has gone on. And she's spoken about trying to adjust and add some new things to her game, including a backhand, right? And it takes a while to adjust to new things after a full career of doing it in one way. And so who knows, but that's a very positive trend. Clearly a wooded course, a different dynamic, all things that play to her strong suit. But because of that positive trend and the career resume, I actually picked Sarah Hokum moving forward if I had to.
All right. Do you agree? You're in the same place, Jamie?
This is such a close battle. And let me pick up where Josh left off and give you why it's such a close battle. Those finishes, those are great numbers. This is the first time that Sarah Hokum has outplaced Own Scoggins this year out of all those places. It's also the first time that either of those two have found a podium. Obviously, Hokum getting the nod there. I mean, Own is leading in Circle 1 and Circle 2 putting percentages. But if you look at all the other stats, they're so close together. That's the one place that Own is above Sarah. And they're only 3 places separated on the Pro Tour standings through the early part of this season. So for me, I'm going to ride with the hot hand. I'm going to say that it's basically the inverse of Josh. You're saying that Hokum is still adding to her game. And so her ceiling stays higher because obviously they're older players. But Own is so dialed right now, and her confidence is at an all-time high. So for right now, I'm riding the hot hand with Scoggins.
All right. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not part of this conversation. That is a tough topic. Let's move into who do you think is more impressive at this major championship? Gavin Babcock, as we alluded to earlier, had a great performance. Or is it Corey Ellis, someone who established himself full-time on tour this year and is proving, seemingly, that he's here to stay? Who do you choose as more impressive in this tournament, Josh?
All right. Gavin played well beyond his historical performance. In my opinion, like epic. Really, Matt, has only, let's see, he has tour history since 2021, so not long time. One event in 2020. I'll discount that for a moment. You know what his average finish is in these events? Ready? 60th.
Ooh.
Not 16th, not 24th. His average is 60th.
You get paid bonuses for 60th?
No, you can't even stay on the tour, which I don't know how he's doing it. That's awesome. But when you look at Corey Ellis over the same time period, his average is 35th. Okay, so if you take out what looks like an outlier to me, he averages 26th. Point being is Corey Ellis during that time also has higher peaks. So a better average finish and higher peaks. He has popped off before at some events. So to me, purely, I'm more impressed by Gavin's because it's such an anomaly. If you ask me to pick who I'm picking going forward, I'm saying Corey. But impressed, you can't really quantify how good Gavin played relative to his historical
Josh, you're cracking me up. You're proud of him for making it. And I think I saw in a quick social media interview somewhere that he said this is like 10 times what he's ever earned at an event. So he's like, that might help me live a little more comfortably. Sorry to take your time,
Amazing.
Jamie. What do you got?
All right, let me blaze through some stats real quick. You were right. Courtesy of Statmando, Babcock, the best overperformer. He averaged 33 points over his rating when he played. Corey Ellis. I mean, Babcock was 100% from C1X all weekend.
I'm giving you 10 more seconds, by the way, Jamie.
All right.
There you go.
Ellis, best circle 2 putter in the field, 60%. These guys are 1 and 2 in the whole field in strokes gained putting. Corey Ellis is probably the better player right now. We've been hearing about him for a couple years. We know he's deadly with a putter in his hand. He's just like looking to make that breakthrough. But with the nerves of the lead card, which are not quantifiable to your point, Josh, but still altogether important, that guy held his own. And that's impressive because those were 3 heavyweights slugging it out with him on that card.
Hey, and Matt, since you gave 10 extra seconds, since you did, congrats to both of them for qualifying for USDGC.
Yes.
Congratulations. And if you want my opinion, I actually choose Corey Ellis, and that's just a roll of the dice. Maybe I should go play at Vegas. I'm just putting my money on him. All right. Topic number 4. Now that we've seen it, we've actually talked quite a bit about it. Are you excited for this event to rotate? I mean, it got such rave reviews. Or do you wish it would come back here to WR Jackson? Jamie?
No. I want to stay right here. It's that simple. I mean, Jackson always delivers. Last time we were there, 2019 Hall of Fame, it was a playoff between Calvin Heimberg and Adam Hammes. Ricky Wysocki won his 2nd world title there. Ricky Wysocki, coming into this event, had never lost a major in Georgia. Happened to be at this property on these courses. I mean, it brings out the best in the best players, and it really, really is a challenge. What I'm a little bit afraid of is we have really good venues, we have really good event teams that run top tier venues, and I think we could all name them very quickly off the top of our heads. I don't want to see another major like a Worlds or like an important event like a tour event continue to rotate to the same courses under a different name. I think there's something special about the way that USDGC has done it. I think the storylines and the stats when they're one course year over year are something special, and we should consider that now that this is a new major.
We know you love USDGC. It makes sense. You're standing for it. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, so in WR Jackson, it just feels right. So I agree with that. Okay, but here's some other things to consider. They do have some challenges there for the growth of the sport. I'm torn, right? Because I think more needs to be done to meet the future demands of disc golf. Like I'm talking about things like on-course spectators. I already mentioned that. Additional venue amenities. In a perfect world, here's what I would want them to do. Invest whatever it takes in that property, in that venue to actually meet those demands and stay there. Maybe some rotation in the meantime makes sense. But where we do agree, Jamie, is ultimately I want them to find a place and stay there. So I do not want to see it rotate. For me, if it's WR Jackson, that makes everybody happy. If it's somewhere else, that's fine. But I agree. Nothing like having the prestige of returning to the same event over and over.
Yeah, I've heard some say, why not invest $1 million? I don't know where the $1 million comes from, but let's invest $1 million in the property and make it spectator friendly. It could happen. But until we get to our next 2-minute topic, we're going to hold that one off, and we're going to go into the segment called Write That Headline. And this is going to be fun because we're going to bring up a list of players, and they are written by yours truly, me, Jamie, Josh. So Jamie, go ahead and start us off. You're going to write a headline here for Paul McBeth. What is it?
Paul McBeth makes headlines from the 8th card, the course record. It ended up being by 3 strokes. It was originally by 4 strokes over Austin Hannum. Like, how do we set the record 3 times in a row at this same event? Hannum at 12, and then poor Gannon Burr comes in at 13, only to find he was bested by 3. I mean, I feel like it's one of those like website clicky ads where it's like, Dennis hate him. It's like, media producers hate him. We have to send a camera to the 8th card to watch Paul McBeth when like nothing else is happening. out there. And just, it's incredible. The guy, let me give you this stat and I'll get your reactions here. If he did not shoot double digits at this final round, he would have finished outside the top 20. In the UDisc era, Paul McBeth has only finished outside the top 20 twice. One at USDGC back in 2019, and once when he DNF'd due to injury at the 2017 Green Mountain Championships. So, but he had to do the best thing he could have ever done in order to keep that stat alive.
But here's my reaction. That may have only happened twice, but how many times has this happened where he was outside of that top 10 and he was able to do this? I think it's dozens of times that he has done this. It just shows, I feel like some of it comes down to the last day performance. He's able to do McBeast things.
Yeah, well,
Josh,
it shows Paul McBeth is selfish in the best way possible. And, you know, he needed to have a storyline here. And I think it's
Wow.
exciting. Now, by the way, disc golfers are infamous for always saying, like, if only I hadn't hit that tree, or if only
There's
I'd
one
putted
out
higher.
there for him. There
Yeah,
is.
right. But here's the thing. On his channel, you've got all 18 holes, and I did watch them, and the truth is he could have easily thrown an 18 down. It was an incredible round.
For
Oh, so we
sure.
should be bearish on him.
I
He
mean,
didn't get
really,
18.
like, if you look at it, there were some, like, it's pretty amazing. But anyway,
All right.
congrats to him
Yeah,
for not winning.
congrats to Paul. I chose this headline here for Gannon Burr. I said gaining experience for a long-term career, because here's some interesting stuff. Right now, currently, he is ranked 4th in DGPT points, and where most of the top players are present at the 5 events he's been at, he is averaging just outside of top 10, but he has 3 top 5 finishes across those same events. He has the skill, and his early experience with the disc is what got him here. But his experience on tour is what's going to propel him to a long and successful career. I saw some things where he said following the event that, like, he didn't have the confidence in the woods that he was hoping for. And that just tells me experience, because I feel like you don't hear Paul McBeth say something like that out loud, because he convinces himself that he has what it takes to do it, right? And Gannon saying, like, Jonesboro shapes for my game. It plays to my game. I think the experience that he's going to gain is going to be that he can perform on any course when he puts his mind to it. What do you guys think about Gannon Burr? Gaining the experience he needs?
Yeah, the one problem is he already has such a high ceiling, because when we were on a course that maybe fits his game, i.e. Vegas, like, he already went to a playoff. So he doesn't have a whole lot of room to go up. But here's the thing. If you are a player who's thinking about touring, like, Gannon Burr is the best possible player you should be watching right now, because the way the guy is doing it, I mean, when you said 4th in Pro Tour points, I was like, oh, wow, he's still in 4th, because we haven't talked about him much since Vegas, but he's hanging around. And that experience you're talking about, Matt, I think it's a well said headline. Towards the later half of this year, if he picks up a win, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, he was actually there the whole time.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention this. Fifth at the major. And, like, yeah, we barely talked about him at all. I mean, he is there and he's performing well. 13 down in the final round. He gained his confidence.
If Paul wasn't so selfish, it would have been a storyline for
Paul's
Gannon.
fault. Perfect.
So, yeah. I'm just going to simply say keyword experience there. It means everything.
Right. All right. I'm going to go back to back here. I hope you don't mind. Matt Oram, my headline is optimism that Roll Tide has returned. So his first event this year was Texas State, and that's due to a few reasons, including appendicitis, having surgery. So in a vacuum, that might sound like below average, where he took 15th at Texas State's below average for himself. But I'm pretty sure he was feeling below average, playing no Elite Series events to that point. And then second place at a Silver Series event behind Chris Dickerson, who are now, we said earlier, maybe the #1 rated player in the world. So, you know what? 5th place at the Champions Cup leaves me saying Roll Tide is on its way. I expect to see him in as many events coming forward, a lot of top 10s, and would enjoy seeing him crowned champion at least once. Is Roll Tide back? Is he getting fired up? Is he making his appearance again? And is he going to dominate going on the way out? I said top 10. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I mean, since he's kind of rejoined the tour in the last couple of years, I think, yeah, he has returned to that. And my take on that is, Matt, you said top 10s. I think that's true. I don't know if it's much more than that. And I'm always kind of perplexed with Matty O, because he seems to have the skill, the talent, I was excited to be back out there. Would I be surprised if he were to win? Yes. Am I picking him to? No. So sure, I think he's returned to the top 10 ranks, but I don't know if that really blows me away.
Top 10 today is so impressive. Jamie, what do you think?
Incredibly hard to do, and it's a credit to Matteo to have a long career. I mean, you can kind of say the same things about guys like Nicola Castro, Kale Leviska. I mean, even Paul and Ricky at this point, the number of years they've been in. To me, it just makes me smile when I see Matteo, whether he's, on camera, losing his sunglasses, calling for first downs, or sitting at the In-N-Out telling tour stories, as I got to do with him back in Tucson. Like, he's just a gem. And I'm glad guys like Matteo, like Garrett Gerthy, I'm glad that those guys are still around if they took a break and they're like able to come back and still be a part of the scene, because they were a crucial part of it back a decade or so ago.
All right, Josh, we're going to you. You brought us another headline. You're talking about Eagle. Give it to us.
Yeah, so for Eagle McMahon, so throwing again, can he win? Look, going into the season, if I told you Eagle McMahon would only play in 2 events and he would finish 21st and then 14th, would you have believed me? Like, would you have taken that bet at the beginning of the season? Now, clearly, it's due to injury and recovery, right? So, like, there's factors here. And so this is unfair speculation, but to toss it to you simply without stats, do you think Eagle can win an elite series or major this year? This is complete speculation. But, I mean, 21st and 14th, what does that look like for him? It's going to be a random guess. What's your opinion?
In some ways, I reminisce over Paige Pierce last year, where we had questions. What's happening? Is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? We weren't sure. She ended up stepping up and performing well and putting a lot of that to rest. I feel similar about Eagle here. The slow start, complaining of, arm issues. We saw him at All-Stars having to throw lefty. He talked about getting an MRI. We never heard the results, but he said he was feeling good going into the Champions Cup. I have to believe the argument that he's never played really well in the woods is kind of true. And so I expect to see, as we get further into some of these courses, DDO and others, that he's going to start to find himself rising to the top again. Will he win? It is incredibly tough to do. If he's at the top of his game, he's one of 3 or 4 who could. What do you think, Jamie?
All right, quick clarification. Can he win this year or can he win again?
He'll win again.
No, I'm saying this year.
Okay. I think yes. Honestly, I think yes. And here's why. When Eagle wins, when he has won in the past, he looks like he's playing a different game than everybody else. The way the disc comes out of his hand, the velocity, the shot shapes. Like, you hear when you're nerds like we are, and you hear the disc he's throwing, and somebody like Ian is telling you, and then you see the shot shape that he executes with it. It's unbelievable. You think Ian's lying, and he's almost never wrong about that stuff, right? So Eagle has in some ways broken the game. He has in other ways broken himself because he's broken the game. And so I think, he'll probably have to dial it back a little bit, come down to the disc golf that we've been seeing, which is already an incredible level. But I certainly think he can win. I think he just has to figure out how, because guys like Eagle, Simon, etc., injuries are just going to be a part of life going forward. That's where we are in the sport.
All right, Jamie, keep talking. What do you have as a headline for Katrina Allen?
Katrina Allen. She got even with W.R. Jackson, and here's what I mean. Through 3 rounds at Jackson, she was 7 over par in 54 holes. In 18 more holes, she went 7 down, brought it all the way back to even. It was an incredible run. It matched her best comeback at a major. She went from 18th to 5th. Back in 2011 at the U.S. Women, she went from 19th to 6th with a final round performance. It means Katrina hasn't missed the top 5 this year. It means she nearly set the record for the best score at W.R. Jackson. By the way, somebody named Katrina Allen holds that record already from back in 2017. Are we Groundhog Daying this thing enough yet for you? Like, Katrina Allen over the last 9 months has had so many incredible storylines. And think back to Worlds, the shot she threw to win it. And then later in the day, Paul Macbeth, James Conrad come through and steal her thunder. Paul Macbeth kind of did the same thing today. Katrina Allen had so much thunder with that storyline. And then, of course, Paige and Kristen, then Paul, and then Calvin Dickerson and Ricky. I mean, she's doing so much. It kind of blows my mind that she's only in 3rd place. She's
taken almost all of the positive headlines coming into this whole year. She's been shining a lot. I definitely was waiting for this to happen at this Champions Cup. I was waiting. I said, round 1 seems off. Round 2, okay, it's gonna be round 3. All my money down on round 3. She's gonna correct it. It didn't happen. I was off 1 round because round 4 it did. impressive play by Katrina. Yeah,
And-
she stole a lot of the headlines there.
And just quickly, in one of the earlier shows this year, on this particular show, I said, if you ever see a top performing player have a bad round and be down in the ranks, go follow their card. I
Yeah.
remember saying and giving that advice because I said, you know what's going to happen. And we saw 2 examples of that this past weekend. So my opinion stands.
So what he's saying is listen when Josh talks. We'll try to do better. All right, here we go. I'm going to take this next one here. Valerie Mandujano. My headline for her is consistency on display early, meaning through this point in the season. We have a long way to go. But Valerie is 4th in Pro Tour points, averaging a 3rd place finish, taking down her first Elite Series at Waco and then following it up with, listen, 2nd place, 4th place, 2nd place, and at this major, a big deal, 6th place. The FPO division is absolutely no joke, as we've just talked about, with great players performing at a high level. FPO is what we've never seen before. Demonstrating this consistency early in 2022 means she's in for the long haul, and it wouldn't be crazy to expect another win out of her. What do you guys think about this headline?
I think by the time she gets back to the home base of Emporia, they might want to have a contract extension at least typed up in draft mode on that computer over there at Dynamic Disc, because they didn't even announce the figure on her deal, which probably means it's not a show-stopping number, and maybe it should be. This is the first time she's missed the top 5 all year. She is running with the big guns right now. Huge props.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not much to really add. I think it's impressive. Of course, it'll be interesting to see how it continues to play out, but I think all signs are pointing in the up direction.
All right. Well, so talking about Dynamic Disc and having a significant contract signed in the offseason or the preseason, Josh, tell us about Kona Panis. What's your headline?
All right. Well, 3rd top 10, settling in. So no question, Kona has had a rough start to this year. But here's some things. This is her very first sponsorship change in a young career, leaving a company that she was deeply ingrained with, right? In all different avenues and facets. But the last 3 events, she has actually finished top 10. And in FPO, that used to not be such a big deal. But as the field depth has really driven, I think it is worth noting a 10th, 4th at a Silver Series, and then 8th at Champions Cup, a major. So, is she actually starting to settle in? I think so. And I'm curious if you think that's true.
Jamie, tell me what you think.
I think settling in is the perfect word for it, because I think in polar opposite to Valerie Mandujano's situation, Kona's was extremely publicized. And if we're going to say anything honest about Kona's career, like, consistency hasn't necessarily been her game. It's been about having these big flashy moments and then trying to live up to them the very next day when she makes lead card, or, a similar scenario to that. So, as much as I heap praise on Valerie for coming out and beating expectations, I also don't want to be too harsh on Kona, because this was a massive signing by DD. It was a risky signing in some ways by DD. And I think, credit to them, since I told them they just need to do something, credit to them to have patience and let her settle in.
Yeah, and I think they are. It was a groundbreaking contract. I agree. Great words here, settling in. Josh, give us the final headline talking about Missy Gannon.
Yeah, so looking for that end of 2021 spark. If you laid a trend line over Missy's finishes since the start of 2021, all the way through this past weekend, you would see that she's continuing to perform better on a trend, even now. The same is very clearly true also for her round ratings. Lay a trend line over the whole thing. You will see it continues to trend upwards. The last half of 2021, she averaged a 3.5 finish. And this year so far, it's 6.3. So we all have this reaction if she's not performing as well. I say, given the long-term trend, I think she's still moving in that general direction. But boy, she needs that same spark she finished last year with. Not sure what it was. What do you all think?
Well, you studied her a little bit when you were saying perform, and I heard you say poor form. I don't think it's necessarily that her form is the issue, but yeah, she's just not performing the same as she did towards the end of last year. So it's making it look like a poor performance. But you know what? She has the right attitude. She has the experience. So yeah, I mean, is she going to be able to catch what she did at the end of last year? Jamie, what do you think?
My gut says raise the yellow flags, but I'm going to take some advice from the great Christine Jennings and just calm myself down, and Missy will be fine. By the end of the season, she's going to be fine.
Well, and that's my point about the overall trend. If you actually map it out, her trajectory is just as strong as it was.
Everybody calm down. I love that last week with Christine.
Yes.
All right. So that is our show. Let's talk about, Jamie, tell us, how are we going to watch Jonesboro? It's right around the corner.
Oh, Jonesboro's coming up. Buckle up. We've got this and then Dynamic Disc Open for it. And as the lights go out, bring them back. All right, Jonesboro's coming up. This side of heaven, that's where we're going to go. Last year, Ricky Wysocki went wire to wire and shot either the hot round or the tie for the hot round every single day. Katrina Allen, the winner in FPO, she shot a hot round by 7 strokes on moving day and won the whole thing by the same margin. It's going to be great. See you in Jonesboro.
Yeah, Jonesboro. And it has been so much disc golf, more than we've ever had before, and we're watching it all.
I know. When do I take a breath?
No breathing. Jamie, do you have anything for a closeout for us today? Or are you going to just send us away happy and sad?
Listen, I'm just going to repeat what we said earlier. PDGA, put some network infrastructure on Jackson. Let's bring this cup back. It was so much fun. Kudos. Can't wait to do it again.
So much fun. We'll see you out there, everybody. Until next time, have a good round.